Guess what? I won a free trip to Manhattan. All I gotta do is take a short boat trip to get there. I should be there in no time.
I'm so fucking bored!
What is up, everybody? I'm back with my look at the Friday the 13th franchise. Today I take a look at Jason's vacation to New York in Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. The New Blood was a critical bomb, shocker, and box office wise it made slightly less than Jason Lives. It was the end of the 80s, and by this time the slasher genre was beginning to fade. Paramount realized the well was drying up and decided to make one last film to end the franchise. Rob Hedden, a director from Friday the 13th the series, it had nothing to do with the movies, don't waste your time, was brought in to write and direct the 8th installment. He had pitched Freddy vs. Jason again, but they still couldn't get the rights. So he thought of a new idea.
I said, can I take him out of Crystal Lake? Can we get Jason out of the lake? 7 movies he's been in the lake, let's do that. And they thought, yeah, that's a good idea, let's try that. What are we gonna do? And then we brainstormed, and I think I said, what if we take him to a city? And Frank Mancuso Jr. says, well, if he's gonna go to a city, it's gonna be New York. And I just like, perfect.
The promotion for the film was pretty brilliant, depicting Jason slicing through the I Love New York logo and hovering over the city. However, they were given limited shoot time in New York, while the rest was mostly shot in Vancouver, Canada. It was given the highest budget at that point, $5.5 million, and Kane Hodder was brought back to play Jason. How did this new and supposed final adventure end for Jason? Let's find out. The movie begins with the opening credits popping over spots in New York that we'll inevitably see later, but the song Darkest Side of the Night plays over it the entire time. We're a long way from the standard white text and black background while the classic Harry Manfredini score plays. Never would you expect such a song as Darkest Side of the Night to play in the background of a Friday movie, let alone the entire opening credits. It's weird, but at least it's not another damn recap. We cut to Jim and Susie, who are out at Camp Crystal Lake in their boats. Jim uses this opportunity to tell Susie the story of Jason and the murderous rampages that took place on multiple occasions at the very camp they're on.
There was this boy named Jason Voorhees, drowned in Crystal Lake about 30 years ago. And that's when the murder started to happen.
Okay, one, how does this girl not know about the dozens of murders that happen in the spot they're at? You'd think everyone in town would be aware of the brutality that fell upon so many people. And two, why in the holy hell does Jason look normal in this story? He's been depicted as a freaking mongoloid since the very beginning, and now he's a totally average kid?
I got bullshit on that!
Jim throws the anchor down, hitting an electrical wire at the bottom of the lake. Yeah, cause that's the best place for electricity to run through. The anchor breaks the wire, conveniently sending an electric current to run up through to Jason, still chained and crushed from the previous film. Jim scares Susie with a Jason mask that just so happens to have the axe mark from Part 3 in it. Jason steals the mask and ends up killing Jim with a harpoon stab to the gut, while Susie escapes. She's easily found though, because instead of jumping off the boat and heading to shore, she hid in a compartment on board and became the victim of one of the slowest deaths ever.
We're waiting.
We're hardly 10 minutes in, and I'm already annoyed beyond comprehension. The following morning, we meet Rennie, a young girl who's getting ready to join her classmates on a graduation boat trip to New York. She's visibly distraught for unknown reasons at the moment, but her kind English teacher Colleen supports her and gives her a gold pen that was supposedly used by Stephen King. Boy, wonder if that will come into play later. But her uncle Charles, who is physically unable to remove the stick from his ass, isn't supportive of Rennie taking part in the trip, but begrudgingly allows her on the ship. At the same time, a deckhand notices a small boat closing in. It's the same fucking boat that Jason was on at Crystal Lake. The boat made it from the lake to the ocean. How in God's name is that possible?
Well, you got me. By all accounts, it doesn't make sense.
This is lazy. Lazy writing. You'll hear the deckhand say later that he saw the boat come down the river. So what, is Crystal Lake now connected to a canal? I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. There's so much dumb shit in this series, but that angers the piss out of me. Whew. Anywho, Jason climbs aboard the SS Lazarus, and the deckhand becomes the Crazy Ralph of the movie.
This voyage is doomed.
Here's a thought. How about you warn everyone to get off instead of telling them that they're doomed? We meet Sean, son of Ship Captain Robertson. His dad is trying to teach him the ways of running a ship, but he really isn't cut out for it. We find out he's dating Rennie after he gifts her with a golden Statue of Liberty necklace, but Charles breaks up their together time like the dick that he is. This switches gears to nerdy filmmaker Wayne and rocker JJ. After filming JJ's jam session, Wayne says he's got to take care of something, leading JJ to head below deck to practice. Jason stumbles upon her and calls a wrap on her performance. This is the first of many instances where it appears Jason learned the power of teleportation. He was clearly behind JJ in this scene, but 3 seconds later, he hopped to the lower section and got in front of her? Maybe teleportation explains how he got that fucking boat. That night, Rennie is in her room with her dog Toby when she sees a vision of young Jason, again looking totally normal. Fuck this, I'm out.
Toby!
These visions don't make sense now, but they'll be explained later. Not well, but explained they shall be. Cut to Julius, a young boxer, duking it out with other boxer. They're being watched by Tamra, the mean, cool girl, and her friend Ava. They try to do some coke in private, but Rennie catches them while searching for Toby. After she leaves, Tamra and Ava stay right there instead of going somewhere else and are interrupted again, this time by Charles. He suspects they're up to no good, but reminds Tamra that she needs to present her final biology report. Jason walks into a sauna where other boxer is and puts him between a rock and a hard place. Back to Rennie, who's knocked off the ship by Tamra, who thinks she may have narked on her to Charles about the coke. Underwater, Rennie sees another vision of a slightly more deformed Jason, but Sean jumps in to rescue her. Charles returns Rennie to her room and freaks out on Colleen and Sean, even though they were the ones helping her. On the way, they run into the deckhand.
Just come back, and you're all gonna die.
You're on the same damn ship! Rennie goes to the bathroom and sees another vision of Jason. Are we in New York yet? No, Charles stops by Tamra's room for her biology report, but she has other plans to pass his test.
Mrs. Robinson, you're trying to seduce me.
Wayne has been taping this little seduction, and Tamra uses this as blackmail. Charles storms out, but Wayne stays behind and confesses that he's had a crush on Tamra for a while, but she shuts that shit down and kicks him out, leaving Jason the opportunity to sneak in on her while she's in the shower. Captain Robertson leaves his first mate Carlson in charge of steering the ship, but that poor bastard gets a spear in his back. When Robertson returns, he finds his dead body, and Jason slits his throat in a weird slow-mo kill. Sean then finds his dead dad propped up and warns the entire ship while attempting to call for help. They're joined by Julius and his crew, Charles, Colleen, oh, and who could forget the Deckhand of Doom.
You're all gonna die. You're the last ones. He's come back for you.
Who let the Lemonhead into the room? You are a waste of life, and you should give up.
Julius decides he and his group are going to go look for Jason, but we quickly find out where he's at after Ava finds Tamra's dead body and she's chased into a dance room. We get more of that Jason teleportation nonsense, but he's finally able to catch her and choke her out. Wayne is hunting Jason, but after losing his glasses, accidentally shoots a random crew member. When Jason actually shows up, Wayne is thrown into an electrical box, causing a fire to erupt. After that, random dude Miles is killed after being tossed off a tower, and Julius is tossed off the ship. Then while in her room, Rennie is attacked by Jason. I vividly remember the shot of Jason grabbing Rennie through the porthole being on the back of the VHS box for this movie, and always thinking it was so cool and kind of scary. It made me want to see the movie so bad. Perhaps the only time in my life I actually wanted to watch this movie. Colleen then leads a group of nameless, lineless kids to a room and tells them to stay and she'll be back. The ship is apparently sinking at this point and flooding as we see Rennie and Sean narrowly escape a wave of water. They are able to find Colleen and Charles and decides it's time to get to the lifeboat.
Oh, wait! I left the others in the restaurant.
There is no more restaurant.
And how the hell do you know that? You may have just killed a group of kids because you assumed there is no more restaurant. Whew. Gotta calm down. How about a joke? What do you get when you cross a resurrected serial killer with a deckhand who refuses to help anyone despite knowing said killer is on board? I'll tell you what you get. You get what you fucking deserve. So Rennie, Sean, Colleen, Charles, and Toby, the dog, get on the lifeboat, but surprise, Julius is alive, and they help him onto the boat. They row their boat gently away from Jason and the sinking Lazarus. They eventually reach civilization as they see the Statue of Liberty. We have made it to New York, and it only took 63 minutes in a 100-minute movie. Please explain yourself, Rob.
What happened was, in my first outline for the movie, it was flopped the other way. 2/3 of the movie was in New York, and a third of it was on the boat. It was on the boat, let's get to New York, and then I had scenes written for the Brooklyn Bridge, Madison Square Garden. The problem came down to budget.
Rob clearly had the best of intentions with this movie, and the studio limited him, but god damn, you gotta find a way to deliver that promise of Jason taking Manhattan quicker. Or at least make the build up to New York better and not so damn boring on the boat. But the gang is finally in New York and sets out to look for authorities. Then we see Jason pop out of the ocean. Did he swim? Did he just walk on the goddamn ocean floor? Stop asking questions, stupid! Look at this funny gag. Alright, that does make me laugh each time. After being in New York for approximately 2 minutes, the group is mugged by thugs and Rennie is kidnapped. The gang decides it's best to split up to try and rescue Rennie, but the thugs are already shooting her up with drugs. The one is about to rape her, but Jason arrives and is actually the hero in this scene as he kills both thugs with ease, saving Rennie. Cut to Julius trying to use a payphone, but Jason attacks and chases him to the top of a roof. Julius puts his training to the test as he continuously punches Jason to the edge. Seriously, this goes on for like ever.
1 hour later. Two hours later. 3 hours later.
Can you move it along? I'm all out of time cards.
Jason only needs one hit. I think fans can all agree this is not only the best kill in the movie, but the best moment in general. For a film that has been so damn uneventful, this provides the first bit of actual entertainment. One hit decapitation, we see the point of view of the head, and it lands in a garbage bin that slams shut. Truly, the small piece of bacon on this turd sandwich. Sean finds Rennie, and they meet up with Colleen and Charles, who have found a police officer, but there's a surprise waiting for them in his police car. The officer is grabbed by Jason and killed off-screen, but Rennie takes the wheel of the car. Somehow, Jason is now in front of them, and Rennie runs him down and sees another vision of young Jason, causing her to crash. Everyone gets out except for Colleen, who gets caught in the car explosion, cause that's what happened after cars crashed in the 80s. Rennie then has a flashback to when Charles taught her how to swim. He took her out to the middle of Crystal Lake, told her the story of Jason, and pushed her in, telling her she needed to learn to swim or else Jason would get her. This is where she has her first vision of Jason. It's not really clear if it actually happened or not. Furious at Charles, Rennie ditches him along with Sean. Jason then uses his teleportation powers again to find and kill Charles. He eventually finds Rennie and Sean chasing them into a subway car. Sean pulls the emergency brake and lures Jason out to push him onto the electrical track. When will you people learn that electricity only makes him stronger? Rennie and Sean make it to Times Square thinking they've won, but Jason follows them up. And yeah, this is a cool shot. As he continues after Rennie and Sean, there is another funny moment.
You're a dead meat slime bag. Yo, man, it's cool. It's cool, man. It's cool.
Knowing what he looks like under the mask, this is how they really should have reacted. So they get chased through a diner and eventually into the sewers. Rennie and Sean run into a maintenance worker down there and he tells them that they've got to leave quick because every night at midnight the sewers flood with toxic waste. These sewers of New York flood toxic waste every night. Whatever, there's only 10 minutes left. The worker is killed goofily in shadow, but Rennie acts as bait to get Jason away from an unconscious Sean and finds a barrel of toxic waste. When Jason catches up to her, she throws the waste into Jason's face, and... what the fuck is that shit? He looks like a goddamn jack-o'-lantern and he's screaming. Yes, screaming like a dinosaur. How? How could this possibly get any worse? What the fuck? Jason is melted by the toxic waste and this happens. No, I'm done. No. The toxic waste turned him back into a kid. How the fuck am I supposed to explain that ending? My overall thoughts on this entry. Take a wild fucking guess. I can't stand this one. The writing is awful. Not only is it boring, but scenes make no sense and you're just expected to sit there and forgive them because it's a Friday the 13th movie. That argument may work on some of the other entries, but it can't slide here when you're suggesting Crystal Lake connects to the Atlantic Ocean. When you have Jason magically teleporting all over the place. When you state that the New York sewers flood every night with toxic waste. When said toxic waste melts Jason down to his younger self. No, I'm sorry, because Rob Hedden seems like a nice guy who just went and make a fun Friday the 13th movie. But this is offensively bad and extremely boring with the longest runtime in the series. We expect to see a movie of Jason taking Manhattan, not a cruise ship, and the back alleys of Vancouver. The characters are incredibly blech. Rennie is probably the most forgettable final girl, and her side bitch Sean is no better. I wouldn't say the cast is worse than New Blood, but they are so boring and leave no impact except for Julius, who I actually root for. However, I stand by it that his death is not only the best kill, but the best moment. Yeah, I like the shot of Jason standing in Times Square, and I do laugh when he sees the hockey billboard and shows the thugs his face. And Kane Hodder does fine as Jason again. Nothing mind-blowing, not overly intimidating, but he does well enough. In that fucking ending. The moment they get into the sewer, it almost becomes unwatchable. The toxic waste stuff, the atrocious design of Jason's face, his roaring along with him yelling for his mommy and turning back into a kid, this felt like a slapdash ending they threw together just to get it completed. It's a horrendous ending and sadly the end of the Paramount saga before they sold the Jason rights to New Line. I'll cover that next week. Today, with perhaps the worst writing, boring characters, weak kills, god-awful ending, and a title that doesn't live up to its name, this is in the bottom 2 of the franchise for me. But I did like Julius's death, the shots in Times Square, and some of the funny moments. So I'll give Friday the 13th Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan, 1 Statue of Liberty out of 5. But let me know your thoughts. Does this movie make you as angry as it makes me? Or is there any living soul out there that believes I'm not giving it enough credit? And what was your favorite kill? Don't forget to subscribe and follow my Twitter in the link below. Next week, I tackle Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday. I wonder if a trip to hell will be any better than a trip to New York. Until next time, Peace.